I want to talk about identity. Now, chances are if you're coming out of addiction, okay, if you're still currently in addiction, then you're probably not feeling too good about who you are as a person. But if you come from a background of childhood trauma, the question of who you are, or perhaps the question of if you like who you are, how you treat yourself, that's probably more up in the air. Trauma leaves people with a damaged or diminished sense of identity. And it's not hard to see why. It's not hard to understand why. If you're a person who's grown up being neglected or abused or just deprioritized, just ignored, it's not hard to see how they might come to think of themselves as being, not worth the effort, or not worth protecting, or not worth loving. Identity comes from a lot of places, but it definitely comes from our family, the people closest to us, how people treat us. All of this stuff serves to form a sense of who you are as a person, what your life means, what your life is worth. And I think low self-worth is probably something that every single person in addiction can relate to. We just don't feel like we're of any value. And when I describe stigma to people, I talk about the stigma attached with addiction quite a bit. I describe it this way. If you drive by a homeless person who looks like they're probably using drugs, you drive by them on a cold, rainy day, you don't even look at them. You just drive right by. But now switch that person with a puppy or a kitten on the side of the road on that same cold, rainy day all by themselves. People would be holding up traffic to pull their car to the side of the road to go save that poor lost animal. But when it comes to a person, we just look the other way. We ignore them. And I think that just is an example of how little value we have for those in addiction. And it's not just how society sees them or how, healthy people see those who are struggling. It has to do with how you see yourself in your addiction. All right? And a background of trauma can absolutely make you feel like you're just not worth anything. Now, tie this into the last video where I talked about attachment styles. If you have a low sense of self-worth, doesn't that better explain anxious attachment, in which you always need constant validation and reassurance from your partner, and where you always are second-guessing their love for you? You're always wondering why they ended up with you, why they stay with you. You can't quite believe it. Right. So the sense of identity is right at the core of a great number of things that we deal with, especially recovery, because one of the things you need if you're trying to make your life better is the belief that you deserve to have a good life, that you're a person that's worth improving. And if you don't think that, if you think that you're worthless, if you think you're valuable, not even on a conscious level, but just deep down in your system one, it's a belief that's in the murky waters of your soul. You just don't think you're worth anything. How much motivation are you going to have to improve yourself? How much motivation are you going to have to figure out your problems and make your life better? Right? So this idea of identity is a tricky one. Now, let me tell you what I learned about identity when it comes to healing. I don't put much stock in self-esteem. Okay, a lot of people talk about, especially with kids, they talk about building their self-esteem. I have zero interest in that whatsoever. I don't want to do anything. For my kids, I don't try to build their self-esteem at all. What I do is I try to build up their sense of self-efficacy. I champion their ability to achieve things, to do things. Because if you're a person that can get things done, if you can succeed in the small and large tasks of your life, then self-esteem will follow. My point is, feeling good about who you are as a person isn't up here. It's the byproduct of action. So if you're going out and you're doing good things, if you're being a valuable person, if you're of use to others, then the sense of identity, where you feel that you actually matter, that will follow. So don't try to talk yourself into thinking like you're a good person or everything's going to be okay, you're worthwhile. I mean, you can definitely say the words, but in my estimation, you got to go out and you actually got to do something. Put the behavior first, put the action first, and then the evaluation of who you are, your feelings about who you are will follow. So do something today that's not for you. Do something that's kind, that's good for somebody else around you, and just pay attention to how it feels. All right, watch your identity.